Harry Maguire came in for it Friday night, scores against Albania, and then did the old cupped hand to the ears bit. Like, how'd you like that then? Roy Keane on ITV wasn't impressed.
Puts his hand to his ears, he's like shutting the critics up, but I think that's embarrassing. He's been a disgrace the last few months in Man United. He thinks he scores, then he's going to shut his critics up. Embarrassing.
So Roy called it embarrassing, and here at talkSPORT, our own Gabby Bonlahor kind of hit back on Harry's behalf.
I've seen the quotes and the video of it from Roy Keane. I think Roy Keane's been a bit of a bully there, because Harry Maguire has been under a lot of pressure, some not very good performances from Manchester United. The next game available to prove that, you know, you're a good centre-half. Yes, it's Albania, but still, you know, he had a job to do. He scores, you know, the excitement of scoring. You're going to celebrate. If I was going for a run of bad form when I scored a goal, I'm going to do exact same celebration. Hands on your ears to the critics that I'm going to try and put in a good performance. And you've done that, Harry Maguire. Every time he does something now, it feels like everyone's against him. He's English. He's the captain of Manchester United. Yes, the pressure of that. But he's probably our best centre-half. Let's get behind him, not always trying to criticise him. Everyone sort of jumps on the bandwagon whenever Roy Keane says something.
Much ado about nothing, really, in my view. I don't know what you think, Danny. I mean, have you ever done that? The old cups?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I have, unfortunately.
What, sending a message of some sort?
Yeah, it's just a silly... Look, emotion plays a big part when you're a player. The only problem I had with Harry Maguire is not owning it afterwards. You know, he has had some criticism, and he has been under the spotlight. I mean, he's a big boy; he'll take it on his shoulders. That's the type of lad he is. But once you've done it, you've just got to own it. I think he'd have probably got more understanding of supporters if he'd have said, "Look, ideally, I shouldn't have done it, but you know, emotion got the better of me," and people understand that. It's been made a big deal, hasn't it, because of Roy's words? I mean, Roy's been on him a little time, but that's the world we're in right now. Harry Maguire, I don't think what Roy Keane says affects him.
Yeah,
I think he's got enough emotional resilience to get on with his own job in hand. I don't think he worries too much about what people say.
I mean, Gabby over the top by saying he's been a bit bullied. I mean,
a little bit.
If that's the case, you're easily bullied.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maguire's a tough lad. I think he's got broad shoulders. I think he'll be fine with whatever anyone says. I understand the emotion getting the better of him a little bit. Ideally, when you're playing for England, you take the club stuff away. You don't want to be putting your hands over your ears. If he looks back now, he probably thinks, God, I wish I hadn't done it. Because ultimately, he played well, he scored a goal. You don't want to be talking about something negative. You want to be talking about the positive aspects of his play, which we are doing as well. But yeah, much mountain out for molehill.
I think so. What do you think, Austin?
I think it's interesting. I mean, I read some of the stuff again at Gareth Southgate. I thought Gareth Southgate is probably the most intelligent, clever international manager that we've ever seen in this country, because he circumvents the situation and comes back around it at a different angle. He's now suggesting that people like Roy Keane are performing a function in the media that have an expectation of Roy to be a pantomime villain, and people in the pundits doing a certain job, and it's the day and age of the media where they've got to create traction by saying controversial things. I don't know whether it's a disgrace for Harry Maguire to cup his ears and to push back on it. I do think that 90% of Roy Keane's observations about his performances have been absolutely right. I do think he's been very poor. I don't think it resolves any issues by scoring a goal against Albania. I think if it didn't affect him, then he wouldn't feel the need to make a demonstration about it. Look, the bottom line is, in this culture, it seems, unless you praise somebody, then it's not right. People can't be criticised, people can't be observed, people can't disagree with one another. The language that we use can't be strident, it has to be nicely homogenised and sanitised. If Roy Keane thinks that Harry Maguire, as an £18 million centre-half, supposedly the captain of Man United, has been absolutely crap, then he should be able to say it. And in fact, he has been.
Nothing wrong with that.
So all this nonsense that people like Gabby come out with bullying is just nonsense. But Gabby maybe, scored so few goals that he remembers when he does cup his ears. But Harry Maguire is a centre-back that's playing for arguably the most iconic club in English football, that's been very poor and should be called out for it. And he should take the criticism as he takes the praise. I don't see him running to the stands thanking people for the praise that he's gotten over the years.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a bit childish. I do think it's a bit immature. And we can say we get carried away in emotion, but you have to think about these things before you do them. You have to want to make a point with somebody. Why don't you make a point with your performances? Rather than make a point. You've brought this upon yourself. I don't think it's bullying. I do think that Roy veers into the hyperbole sometimes.
It was the one word. It was the word disgrace that got people a little bit
Yeah,
because
it's a bit dramatic.
it's a bit dramatic.
It's a bit dramatic.
Yeah, and I think
and
that
he's
was
over egg in the pudding, and there is an element of Roy sometimes feels the need to fill the space because sometimes the people he's sitting alongside say very little of any substance. So Roy will step into that space and go, right, I'll own that space.
See, that's a problem I never have here, is it?
What's that saying? Everything with substance.
Oh, you guys never stop.
You know what? It's weird. You try and look at it from a pundit point of view and a player point of view, but when he actually did it, my first instinct was watching the game and so, oh no, why have you done that?
Yeah.
You know, and then Roy and Wrighty said their bits, and I was kind of thinking, you know what, they're half right. He's made a right problem for himself here. Didn't need to do that. You scored a good goal. You're playing well. And then I thought back to a couple of the times I've done stupid things when I've scored, and I think, you know what, he's probably just lost it for that moment. But own it after.
But you didn't do stupid things very often, Danny, did you?
No.
You get it because you didn't score many.
Not the kept, pardon?
You with me? No.
How many goals did you score, Jim?
Was it premeditated?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, but why is it a natural reaction to score? I mean, emotionally celebrating, but why would it be a natural
have a
reaction
little
for a
protest.
player to run over and stick his fingers in his ears, his critics? It's not. That's not natural.
Honestly,
that's
sometimes
not
things
emotional.
come
That's
over you.
Preordained.
I don't think it was.
He doesn't like the criticism. He's dialed in the responses. Roy's right. They've all popped up. We saw the bloody head of PR or social media at Man United telling us that he contrives how the players react to what the fans want to hear. So it's entirely appropriate what Roy said. They just don't like the tone.
I'm not suggesting that that it was the wrong thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do.
No, you're saying he'll regret it.
Yeah, I don't think it was something that, looking back, he would change it if he could, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But he's done it, and then own it.
It's not a disgrace. It's just not necessary. You're playing for your country. You don't have to conflate people's observations of your performance for your club, which has been poor, with scoring a goal for your country.
I've got no problem with Roy Keane and Wrighty saying what they said either. That's the job, to have an opinion. And if it's a bit strong, then so be it. You know?
Yeah.
But the key component of that was how clever Gareth Southgate was. How clever he is at being able to. I think it will be his undoing.
You're right
in the
this
end.
morning, incidentally.
No, because he's a very clever man management.
Well, he gives it perspective.
He gives it perspective, but he twists it around. Now, this man management, which involves making sure the players are comfortable, I think will be his ultimate undoing, because to win something, you've got to have a little bit more about you. That doesn't mean pandering to what the players want every 5 minutes. But right now, communicating with the media, there has been no better England manager than Gareth Southgate.
So when Maguire scored, was he right to give it back to the critics? What do you think? Roy said no. Gabby
he wasn't
says,
right.
Roy says shouldn't have done it, but Gabby Bonhor says Roy's into a bit of bullying there. What do you think? 03717 223344. Send me a message 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning 10 till 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.